Hello guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today I want to talk about the HD6XX by Drop. Now this headphone is kind of legendary in its name and very well known in the community. I think a lot of people recommend this headphone to first-time audiophiles and buyers a lot, and it's very popular on recommendation lists. So today I'm going to talk about, is this worth the hype? Because honestly, everyone loves this headphone on the internet, so we're going to talk about this, and we're going to do some comparisons to another Drop headphone that looks very similar, which is the HD58x Jubilee. Now this headphone, like I said, is very similar, but cheaper. And then we will do another comparison to the Audeze Mobius. Now the Mobius is a closed back headphone that comes in at $500. However, this headphone is really, really good. It's one of my favorites, and I think will be an interesting comparison. Of course, it's a closed back headphone versus an open back headphone. Anyways, as always, please like and subscribe down below. Helps my videos out. We'll talk about the build of this headphone and talk about the sound, and then we'll do some comparisons as always. Anyways, let's get into the video. All right, so let's take a look at the build of the 6XX. So it's mainly plastic on top, on the side, and it has this nice kind of see-through that you can see the driver, which I really enjoy. Like the driver look right here, I find that really cool, and honestly, it's probably my favorite part about this headphone is that see-through driver look. And then we have the nice soft pads on the inside, which are made of velour. They're nice and soft. And then we have this top headband right here, which is, honestly, it looks funny, but it's definitely more than sufficient as padding, as this headphone really isn't that heavy, so you don't really need that much padding. And I find this padding really comfortable, especially after you take a shower or something and your hair is wet. You don't have to worry about leather peeling or anything with this headphone because it has velour on top and the side. We have a basic black cable, nothing too special, which ends in a 3.5 millimeters, so yeah. Now we have some extensions right here, which are made of metal, so that kind of keeps this headphone nice and sturdy, so you don't have to worry about it breaking. It's really nice and thin as well, right? But there's no extension, measurements right here, so you're not exactly sure if your right and left match unless you kind of count the sound, is kind of how I do it. But this is some detail that I wish it did have, but I understand that this is, the cheaper product on drop.com, so they cut some corners to kind of achieve that price point. And yeah, I think this headphone has a lot of, clamp force a little bit, so I think for some people they might find that uncomfortable. But in general, I think the pads are really nice and soft. It's a light headphone, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. And the ear cups are also really big as well. They will fit most ears unless you have really, really, really big ears. But I don't really have an issue when I wear this headphone. So how does the 6XX sound, right? So I would describe the 6XX sound to be very mid-range focused. Now, what that means really is that the bass of this headphone is kind of flat to where it's not really that exciting, but there's a little bit of a mid-bass hump. So there's definitely a little bit of bass in there that you can enjoy. However, when it gets to the sub-bass regions, this headphone doesn't really have much in that region at all. So if you're trying to listen to your electronic music that have deep bass, this headphone is definitely not it for you. And if you're looking for a bassy headphone in general, I don't think the 6XX really kind of hits that mark. So it's definitely not what I recommend for people like that, right? So the mid-range of the headphone is really good. So when I think about male vocalists, it does it really, really well, very complete in my opinion. And for female vocalists, I feel it does it really well, but then when you get to kind of the higher regions of their voices, it doesn't really have as much of the treble that I think it needs to kind of really make that area shine. So I feel the treble of this headphone is a little bit subdued, so the higher frequencies are just pushed down a little bit and you won't hear as much of it. And I think that is also kind of leans towards this headphone being more mid-range focused, right? Because the bass isn't really exaggerated or the treble isn't exaggerated. So it's really just exists in the mid-range mainly. And that's where you find most of your music anyways. But that's what I would describe the sound. Now the resolution of this headphone is really, really good. So this kind of leads me to the comparisons of this headphone to another one, right? Which is the HD58x Jubilee. I actually think the HD58X is better tuned than the 6XX because it has more of a V-shaped character, so it has more bass. Like if you like those deeper bass notes, you'll actually get that on this headphone. And if you actually like, more treble extension or higher, more treble in the regions like 8K and higher, you will get that more of that in here, and it makes the vocalist sound a little bit more, I guess, clear and clean up there, versus they sound just a little bit more kind of muted, more relaxed on the HD6XX. Tuning wise, I do think the 58X is better. However, the thing about the 58X is the resolution of this headphone. So this headphone, honestly, the driver sounds kind of cheap to me, honestly. They definitely cut corners to get a cheaper price for this headphone. They even say that they use the driver. The driver is made with different materials than like HD660S, so they definitely cheapened out the driver, and I could definitely hear it too. Like it sounds more like a $100 headphone in terms of like driver performance, while the 6XX sounds really like worth it for its price of like $220. It sounds more like a $200 resolution headphone than 58X, right? That kind of leads me to the comparison of these two, like which one do I choose between 6XX and the 58X? Like it's really hard because like I said, one sounds better in the frequency response, the other one sounds better in the resolution department. And it's really hard to pick, but if you're looking for that better resolution, you don't really like that kind of, the way I describe the 58X is that the notes kind of blend together and they last a little bit longer than they should, versus when you listen to on the 6XX, they're very like fast and distinct. And like, that's just like the difference in like the driver quality, honestly. And for that case, like the 6XX probably is a better buy because it's not really that much more expensive than the 58X. And it doesn't sound, slow is the way I describe it, right? So right now I'm leaning towards the 6XX, but maybe it's just because like, it's a new toy in the house and I like it more. But I think the 6XX resolution does win me over the FR of the 58X, right? Now, this leads us to the next comparison, which is the Audeze Mobius. So the thing about the Audeze Mobius, in my opinion, is that it does what kind of the 58X and the 6XX can't do, and it kind of combines both of these headphones together. What I mean by that is it has both good tuning and good resolution, right? So the one thing that the Mobius, which is a planar magnetic headphone, and it's also kind of, USB headphone, but it has much better like bass in the deep notes, like sub bass. Like it's better in both headphones, and you can really hear that. So if you listen to, electronic music and stuff like that, it really, really sounds a lot better on the Mobius. And the Mobius also has, the treble extension or more treble in the upper regions that the 6XX doesn't really have. So the Mobius sounds much more complete for like, the higher frequencies, and it just sounds much more clear. And then this headphone also has like the resolution that kind of rivals the 6XX as well. So really, in my opinion, it is kind of a better product and upgrade, but it's also much more expensive. I think this is like $400 and this is $220, so it's almost double the price. But if you're looking for a headphone that has everything, I guess the Mobius does have that, in my opinion, right? Anyways, that kind of leads me to the conclusions of the 6XX. Is this the legendary headphone that everyone recommends? Is it really that good? I think it is actually really, really good. I think it's a solid choice, but people just need to understand that if you want a lot of bass, sub bass, you're not going to get that here. If you want, more treble, like Hifiman headphones have a little bit more in the higher frequencies, right? That kind of, make it sound a little bit more detailed and a little bit more lively. In my opinion, this headphone also does not have that. This headphone is more of a nice chill, and I don't want to say relaxed, but it sounds just, nothing is very offensive on this headphone, I think. And I think a lot of people like that because, some headphones like have way too much treble and it kind of gets irritating or stabby, like Bare Dynamic headphones can do that sometimes, and this headphone doesn't exhibit any of those qualities. Some people don't like a lot of bass, and some headphones have a lot of bass, and this doesn't do that either. It won't offend you with that as well, right? So this headphone is really kind of balanced well in the mid-range, and I think a lot of people will just enjoy the sound as long as they understand what they're getting, right? And lastly, I do think if you want an open back alternative for this headphone, obviously everyone knows the Sundara is the new headphone on the block. And I do think the Sundara is a better headphone than this as well. And the price of Sundara, hilariously, is going down. Like, that was a $500 headphone that went to $350. I think it's now like $300. And the 6XX actually is getting higher, more expensive, so now it's like $220. So like the price is like meeting closer and closer in the middle, which makes it even less reason, in my opinion, to buy a 6XX over like something like the Sundara, which just has better resolution and better bass extension and just more treble too. Like, it's just a better headphone in my opinion as well. But I do understand why people like the 6XX, and I don't think it's a bad headphone either. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video informational and helpful and everything. I make headphone reviews here all the time. And so please like and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on that. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.